Another one. Another one.
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the last video. Doing these both on the same day. All that's changed is that I've swapped cars. Don't really know why, just, you know, change of scenario. Anyway, as I mentioned, 5 reasons to buy a diesel, but there are plenty of reasons not to buy a diesel. Let's start with the first one. Let's be honest, diesels sound awful, most of them anyway. I'm yet to come across any diesel car that sounds good. I mean, some sound acceptable. I know the Maserati Ghibli, maybe one of the Porsche Cayennes, not sure. They sound okay, but you know, you can tell it's a diesel. And for most people, you know, you probably don't care, but you know, if you do like pushing your car a bit and going a bit fast, part of the thrill is having a nice soundtrack in the background. That's certainly the case with what's going on here. Certainly the case with this and sports cars, supercars, that kind of thing. They all generally sound nice. But that's an obvious thing anyway. Reason number 2, so although diesels have a lot of torque, low-end torque, past a certain RPM, there's just no go. It's just, honestly, they just sound like tractors and nothing's happening. Usually past 3,000-4,000 RPM in a normal diesel. Let's use the 1 Series for example. So it's got a nice kick around 2,000-3,000 RPM, but I think it's redlined at 6,000. I've never ever been near it since I've had the car, because it's a waste. You're over revving the engine for no real reason. It's pointless. Whereas in a petrol, obviously, the more beans you give it, the more rewarding it is, and you know, the peak power values are generally higher up the RPM range. You know, that kind of thing. That's more to do with, you know, the whole driving experience rather than anything useful in the real world. That's reason number 2. They run out of steam quite quick. Reason number 3. You might think there are less taxes, emission zones type of things that affect diesels compared to petrols, but that's not so much the case anymore. You know, in general, petrol engines do throw out more CO2, but they don't just factor off that anymore. There's a low emission zone coming into effect in 2019 in London. I think, what's it called? The ultra low emission zone or something. And most diesels aren't actually exempt from that. What is that noise? I don't know. There might be annoying noise in the background. I apologise for that. Like a buzzing. No, I don't know what it is. In years gone by, generally, if you had a very fuel efficient diesel, you either paid a lot less than the equivalent petrol car when you're going through an emission zone, or you were just exempt. But they're cracking down, obviously, with all the controversy we've had around how environmentally friendly diesels really are. The only time they are fully exempt is the very latest diesel cars. Manufacturers have tampered with them so that they do dip below the allowed limits of certain. Okay, thought we were going to have a crash. I always love the Aston garage. But yeah, my point is they're not as exempt as they used to be. So if you think, you know, you should just buy diesel because you're going to pay less just for owning it, not the case anymore. The next reason is also kind of financial. Well, no, it is financial. There was a time when diesel used to be cheaper than normal unleaded, but in the UK anyway, it's actually more expensive than unleaded in most places. So each fill up is actually going to cost you more each time. Obviously you're going to get more miles out of a tank, but that initial hit of filling up, particularly if you've got a big fuel tank, it's not going to be pretty. And the fifth and final reason, you'll notice this in the winter, and again if you live in a cold country. You know, when you climb into your car first thing in the morning, and obviously, you know, let's say it's freezing cold, you pour the heaters on and everything like that, it takes ages for a diesel to actually warm up and actually fire out some warm air. You may not have noticed that, but it is actually quite apparent. Like a petrol just warms up a lot quicker, and so you're not freezing to death. I've done some journeys in a diesel, short journeys, you know, 10-15 minutes, and for the whole duration of the journey, I've just had cold air being blown out, and there isn't too much you can do to avoid it, to be fair. Oh, okay, that is a really nice GT3 RS. Anyway, that's more of a comfort kind of reason. You might not have noticed it, but it's there. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 5 reasons to not buy diesel, although I'm sure it's all down to personal preference, and there'll be many different reasons for different people. Those are my 5.